Hey everybody, welcome back to One Seed, One World. So I have now got my shade cloth up. It's actually been up for a few days now. Put it up on Saturday morning because our heat index here on Saturday and Sunday was 108 degrees Fahrenheit. With that kind of heat and horrible humidity, it was unbearable out here even early in the morning before it got that hot. I came out Saturday morning, took me about an hour or so to get everything set up, but I was just about dying by the time I got back inside. But I think I mentioned on my other video on the tomatoes, the protecting your tomatoes from hot weather video, about the shade cloth being 50%. It's actually a 40% reduction. And this is like a 20 by 20 that I got. And originally I was gonna do some tea stakes, but they don't make tea stakes tall enough. Well, they do. They make 10-foot, 8 and 10-foot tea stakes, but they're not available in my area. I'd have to drive like a half hour, 45 minutes away to get them. I didn't figure that was worth it. So I went ahead and just got some 10-foot long 2x4s and just screwed them right into the 4x4 bases on my bed. And this way I can just, when I'm done with it, I can unscrew it and take them down. Plus, actually, the 2x4s are cheaper than the tea stakes, so end up working out all the way around. I just use carabiners and what are they called? Eye bolts to attach them all the way around. In a couple of places I did use some paracord and tied that up to kind of like tighten up the edge where it was kind of flopping down some to kind of hold it up higher off of my plants. But it's a fairly easy project that if you have like wooden beds, raised or a raised bed with a wooden frame like I do, you can just screw 2x4s right onto it with your eye bolts and get yourself a shade cloth. And it makes a massive difference here during the really hot sun, and my tomatoes are really looking pretty fantastic right now. And I think some of that has to do with the shade cloth that I had up during those extreme heats. Now the weather today is much cooler and much less humid. It is still supposed to be like 91 today, but without the humidity, so it's so much nicer out here. So that's about the shade cloth. Okay, so when I came out here to put up the shade cloth on Saturday morning, it was so hot, I decided to just wear my flip-flops. And I don't normally wear flip-flops when I'm working in the garden. I might wear them around the yard or whatever, but normally I'll wear shoes and socks just to protect my feet more when I'm carrying boards around, drilling, sawing, all that kind of stuff. Or like kind of going through like higher plants or weeds or whatever I might be working with. So, but because it was hot, I was like, I'm just gonna wear my flip-flops. I thought about putting my shoes on, but I didn't. And I'm out here working, and I decided to, I had finished up and I was walking up to the house, and man, the top of my right foot really started to hurt. And so I took off my flip-flop, and like where the band goes across your top of your foot, underneath of that was a red mark and a bite mark. And so I had probably, as I was walking along through or brushing up against the plants in here when I was putting stuff up and climbing along the top of the beds, I must have brushed up against a spider and caught it up in the flip-flop, which, probably freaked him out and or him or her, and decided that it would bite me. The problem is that it appears that it was a brown recluse spider, which is a very toxic spider. They're very rare here in Maryland. They tend to be more in the like Midwest and Southwest, but they can be around. They just don't happen very often. So I unfortunately now I did not see the spider, but all the wound marks did seem to follow everything that a bite from the brown recluse spider, it followed all those symptoms, I had a white center with the red mark and a bluish purple going out from that. It's called red, white, and blue. The venom from the spider can be very dangerous to children and those with compromised immune systems. There have been some reported deaths, but normally like from children or elderly people that maybe got bit multiple times or had complications. But the venom in their bite is actually, I think, much more powerful than a rattlesnake. The good thing is that they don't inject very much because they're so tiny. They're only about a ½ inch big. So, you know, they're not going to be able to normally kill a human. However, that being said, their bites can do some damage. In about 10% of the cases of people that get bit, it can cause skin necrosis, which is basically your skin rotting away. So that's not good. Now, mine does not appear to be doing that. Mine appears to be a mild bite. Right afterwards, I washed it, and then I did a plantain poultice on it the next morning and the following night, and that did seem to reduce the swelling in the main spot a bit. But it's still pretty ugly looking. It looks like I dropped a rock on my foot, kind of, because it's got that white center and then a big purpling kind of bruise and reddish around it that goes up to my big toe and to my second toe. And so it's not pretty, but I'm not noticing so far any type of skin death or cell death in the skin. So let's keep fingers crossed for that. It doesn't hurt, it just looks ugly. And it doesn't itch or burn or anything. I did have some burning sensation the first night, but that's gone away. So, you know, be careful out there when you're working in the garden, depending on what kind of spiders you have in your area, because it's not the way I wanted to start my vacation out, because Saturday was the first day of my 2-week vacation. And of course I start off by getting bit by a spider that I have to worry about. So that's my story for today. That was my check-in. I do have some cucumbers to plant or to transplant, and I'll do a quick video on that later. And I've got beets to harvest and process. Yesterday I was processing purple TP beans most of the day and got a bunch of bags of those blanched and vacuum sealed up and frozen. So that's pretty awesome to be harvesting stuff now in the garden. Now we're just waiting for these tomatoes, but I'm sure the high heats, even with my shade cloth, has probably slowed them down. They might even be a little bit dormant right now, waiting for it to be nicer weather. So I hope what's going on in your neck of the woods is going a little bit better than mine, and I'm hoping that you're cooler than where we're at, and I'm hoping that you don't have any spider bites. So if you have any comments or concerns or questions, please put them down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe. But I appreciate that you're here hanging out with me today in the garden and listening to my shade cloth and spider bite stories. But we will see you again soon. I hope you have a great day. Namaste.